The sun had not yet finished rising as Daniel Okoye, a 38-year-old conservationist and wildlife tracker, moved with slow steps through the tall grass of the southern African savanna. The air was heavy with humidity and dust. In the distance, the fragmented song of birds and the low hum of waking insects could be heard. Daniel stopped dead in his tracks. Something wasn't right. The grass, about 20 meters away, was moving irregularly. It wasn't the swaying of the wind. It was spasmodic, disordered. Then a low, broken sound cut through the silence, a hoarse groan, barely audible. Daniel raised his hand, signaling his partner to stay back. He steadied his breathing and moved forward. When he carefully parted the grass, he saw it. A lion cub, no more than 3 months old, lay on the ground, covered in dust and dried blood. One of its hind legs was caught in an illegal wire snare, buried deep in the flesh. The animal was trembling. Its ribs rose and fell with difficulty. Daniel felt his stomach tighten. "My God," he whispered. The cub tried to stand. It fell back down. It let out a brief, sharp squeal, more like the cry of a helpless animal than the roar it would one day possess. Daniel knew what that meant. Where there was a cub, there was a mother. Daniel looked around. The savanna seemed peaceful, but that stillness was deceptive. The scent of blood hung in the air. It could attract hyenas, or worse. "We have to make this quick," he said in a low voice, clicking on the radio. "Cub trapped, possible presence of the mother." His partner nodded from behind, tranquilizer rifle at the ready. Daniel knelt slowly, maintaining eye contact without staring for too long. The cub hissed weakly, baring its teeth. It was pure instinct. It didn't have the strength left to defend itself. The snare had cut off the circulation. The paw was swollen and bruised. Every movement wrenched a fresh whimper from the animal. Daniel pulled out the pliers. In that moment, the grass on the other side parted. A massive body emerged from the landscape. The lioness. Her coat was covered in golden dust. Her muscles tensed instantly. Her eyes locked onto Daniel, fixed and burning. A deep growl vibrated in her chest. Daniel stood motionless. He knew that any sudden movement could be fatal. The lioness took a step forward, then another. Her ears were pinned back. Her tail flicked slowly. The cub tried to crawl toward her without success. Daniel raised a hand, slowly. "Easy now," he whispered, though he knew she couldn't understand the words, only the tone. The wind shifted. The human scent reached the lioness more clearly. She roared, a short, stifled roar, not an attack, a warning. Daniel's partner raised the tranquilizer rifle, but Daniel shook his head. Too much risk. If they sedated her poorly, she could die. If she fell on top of the cub. The lioness advanced until she was less than 10 meters away. Time seemed to have slowed down. Then something unexpected happened. The lioness stopped. She looked at the cub, then at the snare, then at Daniel. She didn't come any closer. She stayed there, tense, watchful, breathing heavily. Daniel didn't know if it was acceptance or waiting. He didn't waste the opportunity. He moved quickly but with precision. He cut the snare with a metallic snap. The cub shrieked in pain, thrashing about. The lioness took a sharp step forward. "That's it," Daniel whispered. He removed the bloodied metal. He applied an antiseptic spray. He bandaged the wound with steady hands. The cub was exhausted, barely moving. Daniel backed away slowly, never turning his back on her. The lioness did not attack. As soon as Daniel moved aside, she stepped forward and carefully took the cub between her jaws, lifting him from the ground. Her fangs, capable of killing a buffalo, closed with extreme delicacy. Then she disappeared into the grass. For weeks, Daniel returned to that section of the park. He looked for signs, tracks, blood trails. He found nothing. In the savannah, that could mean two things: survival or death. Time passed. 3 years later, the savannah was different, drier, more open. Daniel was walking through the same territory again, this time with a film crew. They were documenting the recovery of a lion population affected by poaching. The sun was low. The sky turned orange and red. "Movement ahead," one of the cameramen whispered. Among the acacias, a pride of lions appeared, an adult lioness in front. Behind her, two sub-adults, and then him, a young lion, large for his age, with a faint scar visible on his back left leg. Daniel gasped. He would recognize that mark anywhere. "It can't be," he murmured. The lion stopped. He raised his head. His eyes met Daniel's. For a few seconds, nothing happened. The wind blew through the grass. Leaves rustled. The lion took a step forward. Daniel felt his heart race. The adult lioness watched closely but showed no aggression. The other lions stayed back. The young lion advanced slowly until he was about 15 meters away. He didn't roar. He didn't growl. He simply stopped. He raised his snout, sniffing the air. Then he lowered his head slightly, briefly showing his neck, a strange gesture, out of context for a wild animal in front of a human. Daniel didn't move. "Easy," he whispered to the crew. "Nobody move." The lion stayed there for almost a full minute. Then he turned his head, walked back to the lioness, and sat down. Before disappearing among the trees, he turned one last time and looked directly at Daniel. There was no contact. There was no approach. But there was no fear either. Days later, the trackers confirmed that this lion was one of the emerging dominant individuals in the area. Strong, healthy, an active part of the pride. The cub on the brink of death had survived. Nature does not return favors. It does not understand human gratitude. But sometimes it leaves room for recognition. Daniel stared at the horizon as the sun disappeared. The savannah remained an unforgiving place. But that afternoon, amidst the dust and the golden light, he had witnessed something few humans ever get to see. Not a miracle, but the continuity of life. In a wild world where every day is a struggle, a small intervention had changed a destiny, and years later that destiny had returned, not to attack, not to flee, but to exist, free, wild, alive.